Okay, I'd like to call to order the February 3rd meeting of the Michigan City Board of Works. Everyone please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Trust everyone has seen the minutes from our January 21st meeting. I accept a motion for approval. Support. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. First on the list is Andy Matura, Larson Danielson Construction Company, requesting approval to install a temporary construction entrance sign at the corner of East Michigan Boulevard and Motts Parkway for a construction project, which is the GAF Millennium Park project, starting on January 22nd through December 31st. Is anyone here from Larson Danielson? No one? What would be the pleasure of the board?
Mr. President, do we have any knowledge of this project or any details of this? Because if we don't have any knowledge of it, I'm going to propose that we table it. I think that Larson Danielson should be here to explain this to us.
Yes. Does our city engineer know anything about this at all? No.
I'm Jeff Wright. I'm the city engineer. I don't know a whole lot about the project. I remember looking at something and sending something through via email about the sign, but I don't know about the project overall. We wouldn't have any exceptions for a sign per se for a construction entrance, but I don't know about the overall project.
Okay, thank you. Well, we do have some information in our packet. And I do agree that Larson Danielson should be here. Would the police department have any opposition to this sign with its placement? Have you seen, Captain, where it might be going?
No, I received no documentation to show where this is going to be installed.
Right. Thank you. So, pleasure of the board?
I see no problem with just the sign myself. It's a 8 foot, I think it's 8 foot by 4 foot, is it not? Perhaps planning has something to say about this?
Liliana Rosado, Michigan City Planning Department. So they did submit the sign. So they submitted the sign packet to me. The reason why they want to have it in the right of way is because they don't have an access point. If they put it too far back, the trucks can't see the sign. But I did check over everything. Everything's in compliance. And then I did go over their submission to come to the Board of Works for that sign permit.
So I make a motion to approve the sign.
Okay, we have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Support.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the sign placement at Motts Woods Parkway and Michigan Boulevard, temporary construction sign. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next on our agenda is Benny Edwards, Director of the Patch Harborside Heritage Organization, is requesting to have the 17th annual celebration on Saturday, August 15th, 2020 from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Also asking for approval of numerous requests from the city for the event. I know as we look at this, is there anyone here from Patch Harborside, by the way? No one, okay.
Yes, good morning, Captain Jeff Lineski, Traffic Division. Mr. Edwards could not be here this morning, but I did speak with him. This is an annual request in addition to the request for the annual or city services such as picnic tables and garbage cans. This also includes a request for a street closure. We would include just one portion of Michigan Boulevard in front of the park, just one lane. The eastbound lane and westbound lanes will still be open except for the one lane farthest to the curb. And that would allow for parking because there's not much parking available for the park there. So that's an annual request. We've done it, accommodated that request every year. We would recommend approval of the request.
Thank you. I do see on the request that they're asking other certain things, picnic tables, garbage cans, porta pots, provided by the city, park department. I'm not sure that we should be speaking for the park department, and ask it's not that I'm opposed to approving this. I've been at this function myself in the past, but I would think that maybe we should hold this over and refer it to the park department for their input.
I make a motion to do that, Mr. President.
Second that motion.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. So we'll hold this over and refer it to Mr. Keenitz at the park department.
You want it on the pending list then?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Next, we have Tim Haas requesting approval for the engineering contract by and between Michigan City Board of Works and Safety and Haas and Associates for engineering services. Mr. Haas.
Good morning, Tim Haas with Haas and Associates. And before you today, you should have an agreement, proposed agreement. We have worked with Amber, Attorney LePage, and City Engineer Jeff Wright. This agreement is to provide on-call services on an as-needed basis to the City Engineer's Office. It's similar to agreements that we've had with the Board of Works in the past several years. Some of the things that we've done in the past under this agreement, again, this is on an on-call basis as needed. We provide construction management, assist with review of construction permitting, preparation of the annual budget, in particular in regards to sidewalks and streets, assist with the development and implementation of capital improvement projects, assist with other items city engineer needs. Last year there were a few infrastructure emergencies that needed some help in a hurry, and so like a collapsed pipe or an unsafe road or a damaged sidewalk, things like this that come up that need immediate attention. And sometimes the city engineer can't take care of all of those kind of things. We also were involved with crack sealing, citywide sidewalk repair, pavement repair, hazard removal, trip hazard removal, citywide casting adjustments, ADA curb ramp work, and inspection services. The total not to exceed fee is for $175,000. Last year, our contract, we had a $300,000 contract, but we ended up only using about $170,000 of it, so $130,000 of that remained in the city budget. So it's one of those kind of contracts. It's an on-call contract when needed.
Any questions for Mr. Haas?
Mr. President, I would like to point out to the public that this is similar to a time and material contract. Haas will be paid only for services rendered, and I specify that because we've made it perfectly clear to what our budgetary issues and what our money issues are. So this is something that if we do have an immediate need, we need somebody in the bullpen that can take care of that. But this is going to be a tight year, as we've said, and I'm sure that Mr. Haas understands that too. I want the public to be aware of that.
Thank you. Amber, do you have any comments? Or?
I do not. I know Mr. Haas has presented the certificate of liability insurance that the contract calls for, so I would recommend approval.
Thank you. With that, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the contract between the Michigan City Board of Works and Public Safety and Haas and Associates for on-call professional engineering services at the sum of $175,000 effective January 1st, 2020 through the end of the year.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Next is Shannon Eason, Assistant Park Superintendent, requesting the closure of Washington Street from 10th Street to Highway 12, Franklin Street, from 10th Street to Amesfield, and 8th, 9th, and 10th Streets east and west of Franklin between Pine and Washington for the annual Patriotic Parade on Saturday, June 27, 2020, from 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. Shannon, good to see you today.
Good morning. Janet cannot be here today, so I'm stepping in, but I am Chris Yagelski, Administrator to the Mayor. I'm also a member of the Parade Committee. We've already had our initial meetings. I've talked with Captain Lineski, who has his EMA team all in place, and this is the normal street closures that we request for the parade.
Thank you. Any questions? Comments? Motions?
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We'll move on to, there is going to be a pension board election for the Michigan City Fire Department. They're going to be electing a trustee, and that will be held on February 10th, 2020. There's nothing for us to do. It's just for informational purposes. Now we'll move on to the claims docket. And claims for this meeting, we have municipal claims of $1,276,000 and $1,276,010.32. Medical trust claims $372,521.38. The Ohio Street Project $188,869.79. Health and life insurance $141.24, and CDBG $225 for total claims of $1,837,767.73. Do we have any comments or questions from the board? Do we have any motions?
I'll make a motion to approve the claims docket as presented.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the claims docket. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next, we have the payroll docket. City payroll total is $570,747.30, and the pension total is $225,571.39. Any questions or comments from the board? Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Under new business, the Board of Public Works and Safety has one appointment to the Michigan City Plan Commission, which expired on January 1st of 2020, and the incumbent is Ms. Fay Moore. I would imagine we take nominations at this point, is that it? Or what do we do? What's the protocol for this?
Usually you contact the person that is already on that, tell them this is up, and then probably take nominations next time. Amber?
I would definitely recommend taking nominations
Right.
and putting this back on the agenda at the next meeting so that you can accept a nomination or vote it down and get the new member appointed. But I would also let Ms. Fay Moore know that her term has expired, so if she would like to seek reappointment, she can as well.
Very good. Thank you. So, then I guess we need a motion to hold this over to the next meeting for nominations.
Motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Now we'll move on to unfinished business. Cora Cambridge, 220 Gladys Street, requesting lighting on Gladys Street and sidewalks on Gladys Street. Last meeting, we made the motion to refer this back to the city engineer. Jeff, do you have any comments on this? Or Michigan City Police Department Traffic Division has made recommendations to install, but we wanted to hear from you first.
Know very little about this at this point. And so I would refer back to the traffic police.
Thank you. What's the pleasure of the board here?
Well, Mr. President, I believe we need to table this for right now. As soon as I figure out where the money's at, we're gonna get into a lighting program in the Eastport area because it's probably the neighborhood in town that's most in dire need of street lighting. So we've been taking a look at our expenditures for the year, what we feel we can afford, and public safety will make the lighting in the Eastport area a necessity. So it'll get done, but at this point in time right now, I don't know where I have any money to do it. So once we find out where we're at, that'll be very high on the list, the entire Eastport area.
Thank you, Mayor.
So my motion is to table it.
Okay, keep it on the pending list.
Yes, please.
Okay. All right, and again, Amber, we don't need a motion for that, do we? To keep it on the list.
Technically, no, you don't, because it's already on there. That's it. I'm just thinking that we need to talk with the controller about money and where it would be coming from at the appropriate time, but we'll research that.
Okay. Then we'll keep this on the pending list for now. Next on the list is John Chalikian. Last meeting, Skylar York asked that we keep this on the pending list for a couple more weeks, and we're there. What's your input, Skylar?
So as of right now, I'll just kind of echo where the mayor just said. Jeff Wright and I have been auditing all of our current contracts for community crossings, all our paving contracts, just trying to get a handle on where we are with our paving. We have spoke about Town Center Drive and the expansion of Town Center Drive. Just that's kind of where we're at right now. But we have talked about it, and I've even went out there to visit and seen kind of trying to get my head wrapped around what exactly we're going to be doing there. But it may be more involved than just paving that 20 feet of pavement. It may be more pavement or patching, paving, things like that. We just don't know at this time. Just trying to get a handle on where we're at with that. I don't know if that's a great answer, but
Board have any comments?
Yes, Mr. President. Mr. York, does this section of that drive belong to the city or does it belong to Meyer?
this section under the actual land belongs to the city. The improvement was never accepted by the Board of Works as an improved road. I don't know the history of why it was not done that way, but the land has been dedicated. There's a two-step process. The land's dedicated as a street, and then the improvement is accepted as a street. So the land is dedicated, the improvement was not accepted. So do we own the land? Yes. We do not own Mr. Chalikian's private land, but so we need to either probably do some coring to see how the road is constructed, and then figure out if we're going to, I guess it's going to either be a mill and pave or a rebuild or expansion. I don't know at this time, Mayor, what exactly we're going to do there. I hope that maybe can look, yeah.
All right, so let's try to get into it. I'm gonna meet with Mr. Chulikin.
Absolutely.
I tried to meet with Mr. Chulikin last week, but it didn't work. But we're gonna meet this week.
Okay.
And we'll get into it.
That's great. That's great. And like I said, me and Jeff have spoke about this project. It's just kind of we're getting our head wrapped around all the other paving and construction projects that are going on right now. So thank you.
Thank you.
So I'll make a motion to table it again.
Okay, so we'll leave this on the list then.
Yep.
Next, Mayor Perry made the motion to place this matter on the pending items list, and this is the to move the current bus stop at Franciscan Health. And he has to leave this on the list for 30 days. I know, Mayor, you had mentioned you were going to meet with them out there. Have you had an opportunity to?
Yes, Mr. President. Both Ms. Tillman, our transit director, and I have, not together, but we made separate trips out there to assess the situation. I contacted Mr. Mazzoni of Franciscan and informed him that we cannot take the action. We're not going to modify our bus route because it lengthens a bus route, plus it in both distance and time. And in doing so, this is a secondary reason. In doing so, we have to go back to the Federal Transportation Administration and get the modified bus route approved. But more than that, it presents a safety threat to our bus drivers and our buses because we have to navigate into the front door through a parking lot that has parking spaces on both sides. At that point, I mentioned to Mr. Mazzoni, I suggested that a fix, if he felt that the existing bus route needed to be maintained, a fix would be to open up the east section of the access road off of Kiefer Road, County Road 400 North, to the hospital with restrictions, emergency vehicle and bus, and if that was acceptable, that then we could maintain our current bus schedule and our bus route, which through my investigation I found out that that section, that's a section right off of 421. It goes by the old Bob Evans and some other businesses in that area. That is no longer owned by the Indiana Department of Transportation, but during the course of the project, ownership was turned over to LaPorte County, and per agreement between LaPorte County and Franciscan did not want that opened up. They felt it presented safety issues to them, and safety and liability. So that being the case, that option was not accepted by Franciscan. So the only other option that I threw on the table is that we are going to run what's called a paratransit bus service out there, which is like Dial-A-Ride. It's a smaller bus, holds 14 instead of whatever the bigger bus holds. Much more navigable, and it's on an as needed basis. So that's where we're at right now. We will discontinue that bus route with our regular bus and replace that with a paratransit bus service. I see Ms. Tillman here. She might want to add something if there's anything I left out.
Robin Tillman, Transit Director. I'd like to add that it's going to take 30 days for me to implement any changes and to get the publication out on how we'll service the hospital.
Okay, any questions for Ms. Tillman? None.
I would have to say we have a resolution on that. It'll take 30 days, but we are going to initiate the paratransit bus to service the hospital.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Lori Dudek. I'm the Director of Human Resources. First, I want to say thank you to everyone for looking at this. We sincerely appreciate that. My question is about the paratransit. Will there be a requirement for the certification that is currently required? There's a certification process that has to be completed by a provider in advance.
Ma'am, I don't know about that. Hopefully, Ms. Tillman can respond to that.
There cannot be a change to the paratransit certification. However, we have what's called reasonable modification, and that opens it up to any resident of Michigan City. So the paratransit is set in how it's certified. Any resident or rider that wants to utilize the paratransit to get to the hospital, all they have to do is call a day prior, and we can schedule that ride.
Thank you.
That's part of the information that I'll have to publish in order, it's like to get the message out how to go about catching the paratransit to the hospital. That's why it's going to take 30 days.
Thank you. Then I would suggest that we keep this on the pending list for 30 days until that's worked out, or, yeah. Okay.
I have to have an answer in order before I can publish the required information to the public. So I have to have a set date when the change is going to take place.
Okay, well, that changes things up a little bit. Just a little guidance, Amber. Do we have to vote on this? We need to take it off the pending list first?
No, you can vote on it right now and then make a motion to remove it. But I would keep it on just to make sure it's implemented appropriately. Ms. Tillman, what date would you recommend would be the start date?
31 days from today.
Okay. So that would take us into March?
Yes. It'll allow me to get the publication out tomorrow and set our brochures and everything and have it published.
So if this board approves, Mr. President, you would just make a motion to approve the request from the Franciscans to modify the route to make it more accommodating to the passengers that are going to the hospital, and also to start the implementation on, would it be March 4th? Or whatever that.
Sounds good.
Yes.
I second what Lori said. I'm Trish Weber from the hospital, but thank you for all the work you did on this, Mayor Perry. One question. Where will the special bus drop patients and visitors off at? What's the location? We want to make sure that cross in front of the ED where the ambulances go has been eliminated. Will it come around to the front door then?
It will be eliminated. It'll drop off right at the, well,
Wherever the passenger wishes to be dropped off, any door.
Can we ask Ms. Tillman that not be the ER entrance just because of safety?
What if they need the ER?
Well, I would assume they'd be in an ambulance if they need the ED, but if not, the ED would be fine. But there's no way to get through the rest of the hospital because of the secure locks from the ED.
Yeah.
So front or surgical entrance.
That's not a problem.
Great, thank you. All right, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. So we need a motion.
motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion to approve and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. But we will still keep this on the pending list for the next 30 days until all the changes are final.
Thank you.
Next, we have Skylar York again regarding Harvey Picorni, 905 Kovacs Ave, request to place gravel in the alleyway. Actually, we have this on the pending till March 2nd, so we'll just leave that there. And then we have an order to demolish 710 West 10th Street. Building Commissioner Sue Downs has asked that we keep this on the pending list until March 16th, so that's what we'll do. That concludes our unfinished business. Do we have any public comments?
Good morning, Rodney McCormick, 617 Union Street here in Michigan City. I want to talk about some issues in our neighborhood. Our road, in front of my house, the street is deteriorating so bad. I be on Facebook. I call it the swimming pool. It's terrible. The hole is getting deeper and deeper. Sanitation department trucks ride up and down the street every day, all day. We don't complain. We don't say nothing in that neighborhood. We are neglected in that neighborhood. We don't ask for too much out of that neighborhood. But you put those big heavy vehicles on our street, destroy them. How long will it take for it to be repaired? I've only been waiting for 10 years, and the hole is getting bigger, bigger. Swimming pool hasn't gone away. When it rains, the water will stay there for almost a month. It's sad that no one has done nothing. I can understand why the other administration didn't do anything, because they didn't like me. But I ain't the only one to live on Union Street. But it just happened to be right in front of my house, and I'm sick of it. Also, on the 100 block of F Street, there was a house that was scheduled to be demolished. What's going on with that house? 2 years ago, we had some kids that got seriously hurt, where they had to get stitches across their face and their arms. This house has been abandoned for a long time. We've done everything we can to keep people from over there. We had one house demolished over there on Elf Street after y'all did an unsupervised burn. We just like to see that gone. It's taking too long.
Just a quick question, was that F?
F.
Okay.
The 100 block. There's only 2 houses left over there. So, and other than that, my other complaint is, my concern is, back in November, I don't know, November 18th or something like that, I can't, 2nd, I was arrested right here in City Hall. Our ex-mayor said that I threatened I was going to shoot this place up. That was a lie. All the charges was, well, there was never any probable cause. But it was a big scene that could have cost me my life. And then I heard Mr. Perry talk about his friend, Talitha, being harassed, intimidated, and threatened by somebody out in the hallway. And I happened to go home that night, me and Brett Kelly and some other people, and I view I video record everything. And I happened to just look at the video to see if anybody said anything to her on this side, because you can't see what happens over at the elevator. Brett Kelly was the only one that said hello to her and her sister as she walked on. I'm just concerned that without the right security in here, anything can happen. I mean, we already got the last mayor said, I was going to shoot this place up. We got another citizen said that she felt threatened, her safety was in jeopardy. When are you going to update the security system in this building? You only have security cameras in, I believe, in the entrance. And then you got some outside that don't even work, because I know that from a court hearing. It's time to upgrade what's going on over here. People shouldn't have to feel intimidated or threatened to come to City Hall, and they damn sure shouldn't be lied on, and they shouldn't have to feel like they're going to be lied on if they speak their mind. Thank you.
Excuse me, Mr. McCormick, I do need to respond to that. I'm sorry, Mr. President. The Talitha Ashley Harrison incident, she was not threatened, she was intimidated, and she called me in tears that night. So she wasn't in physical threat of physical harm. She was a friend, and she was intimidated. In reference to, we are looking at security, because we know that the incident with you and the former mayor was very unfortunate. Stuff like that, personal conflicts need to be set off to the side. So, in reference to what you said, we are looking at that.
Well, when you
as soon as we can afford it.
When you use the word intimidation, that is a threat. Place somebody in fear for a prior lawful act, or just coming to a meeting and you threaten someone, that's intimidation.
She was not threatened. She was not threatened for her personal well-being.
Well, you used the word intimidation.
She was criticized for supporting me.
You just used the word intimidation, so I just
Well,
wanted
that's
to.
a form of intimidation.
Okay.
Okay.
And the next thing, since you brought it up, maybe you want to look in making sure all the employees, y'all can start fobbing in. Because at a couple of my court hearings, there were several issues where the last mayor and his staff was writing up documents saying that a certain person wasn't here at a certain time, lying and stuff. So if you fob in and fob out, that'll make things a lot more secure, and you know who's here and who isn't here. Hold some people accountable, because we know almost $4 million in debt. You know, just need some transparency. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. I apologize for deviating from the procedure. I just felt the need to respond to that.
Okay. Are there any other public comments?
Good morning, Mayor, Board of Works, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Dave Bila. I live at 3044 Ohio Street, Michigan City, Indiana. Yesterday morning, Super Bowl morning, I got up. I wanted to do something super for the citizens of Michigan City. My major issue goes back many years, the construction of Strebel Pond and the engineering that was associated with Strebel Pond. I was in opposition as far as the proposed location of Strebel Pond. Through my research, through utilizing Google Earth and just common sense, I come to the determination that Strebel Pond was roughly 58 foot higher than the level of Lake Michigan. Well, that had questions in my mind. I've worked with the various engineering department. I approached Mayor Oberle. I approached Al Wallace prior to the construction of Strebel Pond. Told them that I'm under the impression that the City of Michigan City, through its sanitary district and the redevelopment commission, thinks water runs uphill in Michigan City. But it went on deaf ears. So recently, the new construction of Ohio Street, the new Ohio Street extension from Highway 20 south to the new St. Anthony Hospital. I brought to the attention of the engineering department specifics as far as I talked about ridge lines, I talked about water flow, and there is a specific ridge line on Ohio Street that runs up Franklin Street that forces the water in Michigan City to run to the west. The water running to the west eventually goes through Kinsel Ditch into Black Ditch into Porter County. Well, as I said earlier in my opening remarks, I want to do something super on Super Bowl. So I went out there and I took pictures of this water flow from Highway 20, which is a definite improvement. I talked to Mike Cuss and I applauded him. Yes, there's a definite improvement. Except the improvement of Ohio Street only goes so far to the box culvert on Highway 20. Believe it or not, the water is backed up at that location. Okay, so the water from Ohio Street and Ohio Street Development, yes, the new culverts that they put in works. But it only goes so far until Highway 20. From that point, I've got visual documentation as well as information from Google Earth, topographical readings that shows that Kinsel Ditch does not flow properly. There are impediments all the way down the stream in the water flow. Last year was the first time in 20 years that I had water on my basement at 3044 Ohio Street. There are a lot of other individuals in Michigan City who have water problems, who've replaced their carpets and so on in the Village Green area and so on. This issue affects the 4th Ward, this affects the 2nd Ward, this affects the 3rd Ward. It's my intention to come here to explain to the Board of Works the dilemma that exists in the water flow flowing to the west that affects those three words. Initially, just recently, you just appropriated a contract with Haas and Associates. Last year, I and Tony Hendricks went to Haas and Associates. We brought this issue, first of all, for information purposes, Tony Hendricks is a LaPorte County surveyor. We brought this information to Haas and Associates. We brought ridge lines. We brought information. But because of the matter was progressed so far through the Redevelopment Commission, they decided to ignore my efforts and Tony's efforts and proceed with the project. Because it had to be done with the opening of St. Anthony Hospital. It had to be done. As I said earlier, it's an improvement. I agree. But the water continues to back up, starting at Highway 20, all the way through to Black Ditch in Porter County. Now there's a solution, a real simple solution. That solution is to clean out ditches. LaPorte County Sanitary District gets $500,000 a year to dredge ditches and clean out ditches. And with this information, this visual information that I've got today, my Super Bowl Sunday visual information, my intent is to take it to Mike Cuss and to show him these impediments of water flows. One of the major impediments in water flows are the culverts that are running under the railroad tracks. They're dirty. They're half filled up with muck and sludge and weeds and limbs and trims. Not getting into specifics, but I'll just mention one. The weir at Strebel Pond that prevents the water from running into Strebel Pond. The water in Strebel Pond is the same height on one side of the weir as it is on the other side of the weir. And the other side of the weir is Kinsel Ditch. So you would think that if water flows down Kinsel Ditch, they wouldn't show this variation of water levels, but they're the same. So I'm taking, this is for information purposes, I'm bringing it to your attention. It's a problem. It affects quality of life of the residents of the wards that I mentioned. And I just want to bring this your information. I realize it's been a subject I've been on for a long time. Okay, the quality of life in Michigan City, and I don't want another wet basement. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Mr. Vila. Any other public comments?
Good morning again. I received a request or a complaint that I received too late to get on the agenda, but I've been receiving complaints about truck traffic on Springland Ave between State Road 212 and Royal Road. That's not a truck route, but the trucks that are accessing the plants on Royal Road are using that. They should be using Tryon Road and Warnke Road. In fact, I was contacted this morning by Councilman Simmons with the same complaints. So we would request the installation of a no truck traffic sign at the intersection of State Road 212 and Springland Ave.
Is that something we need to add to the next agenda, Amber? Or can we address it now?
You could address it now, even though it's not on it. I believe you're saying it's more of an emergency basis.
Correct. There's no truck traffic allowed on that street anyway. And in fact, one of the residents informed me that there was a previous no truck traffic sign at that intersection that was taken down when the road was repaved last year.
And Mr. Smith is in the back. I'm sure he can vouch as to whether or not we have the signage available.
Yes, Sean Smith, Michigan City Street Director. We do have the sign in inventory, or we also could make a sign as well. I don't see an issue with it, pending the board's approval.
Thank you.
Excuse me, one more thing. 617 Union Street. I like to look into that to see actually what the street department could do in reference to the sinkhole in front of Mr. McCormick's residence. Thank you.
Thank you. With all that, do we have a motion to place a no truck sign on Springland?
Motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Same, opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Are there any other public comments? Hearing none, do we have any board comments?
Mr. President, I'd like to address a little bit of what Mr. Beal talked about. We do have stormwater issues in this community. I'm a good example. I live on Maple Street, a block south of Gardena, and if my basement has flooded once, it's flooded 9 times. We have a different administration in office now. Mr. Wright is back there. We have a proactive administration. We're going to take a look at that. I'm not sure, as I talk to you right now, that I'm not going to put Michigan City back in you mentioned LaPorte County, that's called the MS4, that's stormwater. I'm not sure that I'm not going to put Michigan City back in that program. We withdrew from it, claiming cost savings, and our records don't show that we have experienced those cost savings. So I'm looking at that. We're going to look at the stormwater situation in this community because I know we have problems. And I don't mean to keep going back to the money. I didn't like the Ohio Street project when it was done. You know that. I talked about it publicly every chance I got. Well, nobody in this town should have wet basements, not if you do your homework and do it right. Hopefully when we get yours solved, mine will get solved right along with it. But we're going to pay attention to that. You have my word on that.
Any other board comments? Hearing none, I'd accept a motion for adjournment.
Move to adjourn.
Support.
We have a motion and a second for adjournment. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Same, opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you.